We will get back to that story, but first, Conservative leader Pierre Poilievre is speaking in Ottawa ahead of caucus.
Who's doubled housing costs by funding bureaucracies that block building and printing $600 billion of inflationary money. He's given Canada the most expensive housing by far in the G7. Housing costs have increased 40% faster than incomes, the worst gap of any G7 country, the second worst of all 40 OECD countries, twice as bad as the OECD average. Our housing is now 25 to 45% more expensive than the States, even though their economy is 10 times bigger, their population is 10 times as large, and they have less land to build on. He's made it so that Vancouver has the third worst housing prices in the world. We now have 30 homeless encampments in Halifax that we never had before Justin Trudeau. Our young people have to wait till they're 40, even though when I was housing minister, the average age to get a home was 29. That was only 8 years ago. Incredible how affordable housing was when I was minister. It was $750 to rent an apartment in Montreal when I was minister. Now it's over $2,000, a triple in one city. After 8 years of Trudeau, 2 million people line up at food banks. If you look at these images, just put them in black and white. What do you see? You see the Great Depression. And all the wonky economists are debating whether we're in a recession. For those people in those lineups, we are not in a recession. We are in a depression, a Justin Trudeau depression. The country's falling apart. The country is falling apart. Yesterday, there were nearly a dozen drug overdoses within an hour in Belleville. This is after 8 years of Trudeau effectively decriminalizing hard drugs and funding opioids and unleashing chaos by releasing repeat violent offenders into our streets. And in order to distract, he spreads fear and falsehood. He attacks hunters, small business owners, Muslim parents. He divides Jews against Muslims, Hindus against Sikhs. He divides East against West. He divides business owners against workers. He is tearing the country apart to distract from his appalling record of rising costs and rising crime. And we expect to see more of it. And just one quick story. Here we have in CTV a news story about a Gatineau man who had his Dodge Ram stolen, put an Apple AirTag in it. Thank God he did that. And so he found out that it was at the Port of Montreal, pinged that it was over at the port, where I was yesterday talking about car theft. So he called the cops and said, good news, I know where my car is. They said, well, we can't help, you have to call CBSA. He called CBSA, they said, we can't help, you'll have to call the cops. CBSA says, we don't know what box it's in, so we can't get you your Dodge Ram back. And it just so happens I have a solution for that, which is that we should have scanners that allow us to look into the boxes to figure out what's there. Now, Trudeau spent the money on consultants. I'm going to spend it on scanners and 75 border officers so that we can open the right box and Mr. Roos can get back his 2021 Dodge Ram. That's a common sense solution. So that's what we need, common sense, to repair the damage that Trudeau has caused after 8 years. He's not worth the cost, he's not worth the crime. But when I'm Prime Minister, we're going to axe the tax, build the homes, fix the budget, stop the crime.